Yo, what is that, guys? Shinobi here, back again with another reaction video for you guys. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're back again with another video for you guys. And in today's video, apparently we're not allowed to criticize Genshin. Now, I'm gonna be real with you. I feel like now it's more okay to criticize Genshin Impact, which it should have been in the first place, on its flaws and what it needs to fix, more than it was back then. Because back then, you would basically get crucified. Now, you'll probably just have a couple of people on Twitter complain about you for a little while, but it needs to be criticized. I'm gonna be real, especially by the people who play the game. And I think there's this funny thing that with people who've played the game, like for instance, in this case, Glaive Keo or Tectone, or anybody who's played the game and then criticized about how it needs to improve and how certain things are bad and still haven't been improved on it, even though the game's been out for 5 years and we all know, Hoyoverse is a billion dollar company at this point. They're not some small indie. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, but anytime you try and criticize the games, even now, you'll still get those people sometimes now, and it's more level-headed now compared to how it was, 4 years ago, who will be trying to either say that either you're an incel, which is a crazy insult for somebody who's just criticizing a game, but that's just how Twitter works, or they'll say that you're just a hater. Like, basically, these days, you basically just gotta accept what they give you, which is nuts, because you would think that the people who've been playing the game for years should easily have the right to be able to criticize it. But even if you play the game for years, if you don't praise Hoyo and Dalloway to the moon for some dumbass reason, if you even criticize the game a little bit, then you just get all this crap thrown at you. Even if you've been playing the game for a while, even if you even have been kind of just glazing it, even though you don't need to, and then you turn around and criticize it, these people will turn on you so quick. It's crazy. It's crazy, but we'll see what we got going on here. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's go ahead and get straight into it.
There is this really weird idea floating around, especially in the gacha space, that if you genuinely love a game, if you spend time with it, enjoy playing it, then you just cannot criticize it. And honestly, that is probably one of the most baffling misconceptions out there when it comes to what I do. It is like saying you can't tell your favorite restaurant their new dish needs a little bit more salt.
Yeah, literally. I was about to make that reference before we even got into the video. Like, people don't understand, or for some reason, I don't know what it is, because this didn't used to be a problem back when gaming was, like, if we're just talking about gaming, this didn't used to be a problem. Like, if we're just talking anything outside of Genshin Impact, like, let's talk about, for instance, games like, Assassin's Creed Black Shadow, which was really bad. Games like Concord, games like, Dustborn, games like Star Wars Outlaws. It used to be a thing back in the early 2000s, and it still is now. I'm not saying it isn't a thing now, but it used to be a thing where if you were to criticize a game and you did it properly, which a lot of people, especially when it comes to Genshin, do, it's one of them things that, people kind of be like, okay, that kind of makes sense, and people kind of have that simple understanding that when it comes to criticizing something, whether it be a video game, whether it be how you make a car, I mean, anything, the criticism is there, whether you take it or not, to improve the game or improve the product. Because without criticism, guess what? What is the reason to change the game other than if you want to or not? But we now in 2025 live in a day and age where, especially with these gacha games, especially with Hoyoverse games specifically, if you criticize any of them, whether it be talking about HP inflation, power creep, the story and how it's presented, or how it's shown, in general, or just how the game state is, if you do any of those things, you will have a whole Twitter mob, a whole subsection of a community who will just throw insults at you without watching the video, without even seeing the comment, and just automatically assume that you're just there to hate on the game, regardless if you played it or not. Hell, majority of the people who assume that you play the game, majority of the people who assume that you hate on Genshin think that you didn't even play the game. When in reality, a lot of us have been playing the game for 4 to 5 years and hopped off of it because guess what? It didn't improve, even though we've been throwing out criticism. And not to mention, we kind of already discovered that the game will never improve because you have that subsection of the community that keeps throwing money into the game and keeps defending the bad practices and keeps defending how the story's been told, even though it could be better. And that's the reason why the game's in the state it is because you got this toxic positivity thing where if you're not saying anything positive about Genshin, then you're basically just a hater, which is why the game is so stagnant to this day and why it's also getting worse as time goes on. It's really weird. It's really, really weird. I don't understand it myself, but that's just the game state we live in. That's just the state we're living in right now.
Just because you've eaten there hundreds of times. It just makes no sense. My videos, for example, often get slapped with labels like hating on Genshin or pushing an agenda or even doom posting. But the worst and the absolute worst is when they call me disingenuous or accuse me of lying, as if my opinions are pulled from some alternate dimension rather than, you know, from actually playing the game. The reality is, my criticisms come from playing the game, from investing in the world and the story. They come from wanting to see it be even better. So when people try to shut down criticism by saying it is just hate or that I'm somehow being dishonest about my feelings, they are not just missing the point, they're actively distorting what critical engagement truly is. It is not about tearing something down for the sake of it. It is about wanting the things you care about to improve. Let's just get into
Yeah, but here's the thing. These people don't understand that. A lot of these people who play these games now are just purely emotional and don't think with logic. So the moment you criticize anything that they enjoy, the first thought that goes through their head is, instead of, maybe he has a point, let me look at his point and see if he's actually talking and let's have a conversation about it, to they don't go to that. Instead, their brain goes straight to, oh, they're hating on the game. They're just playing Genshin to hate on it. And then they'll start throwing all the freaking garbage insults at you, like incel and all the other bullshit, even though that doesn't make any sense. Like, a lot of these people are, I'm gonna be real and say it, a lot of them are just children. I'm gonna be real. And if they are adults, they're adults with a child's brain or something. Because once again, we used to live in a day and age where you could criticize a game, especially if it was doing bad stuff and you wanted to see it improve. And people would be like, yeah, that makes sense. But now we live in a day and age, once again, especially in the gacha community, and even sometimes with the freaking gaming community in general, where if you criticize something that's really bad and the other side likes it a lot still, the first thing that goes through your head, once again, is, oh, they're just hating the hate, or they're a grifter, or this, that, and the third. Like, their brains for some reason cannot form the opinion that, yeah, there's a chance that, yeah, while I love this game, it could be better. It should be better. Let's not even say it could. It should be. Genshin Impact specifically should be a better game than it is right now. We were talking about a multi-billion-dollar company. This is not a small indie studio at all. There is no way that this game should be in the state that it's in right now. I'm just going to put it out there. There's no way. There should be no way that you should be having world quests with some of the most important characters in the game, like Dainsliff, for instance, in this last quest. And yet, when you go to the portion where the important stuff happens, like, for instance, Dainsliff taking out the whole entire Abyss Order front line, or Dainsliff fighting his old master who he hates because of all sorts of other, stuff when it comes to Conria and whatnot, there should be no way in hell that is just off screen and treated like an afterthought. Because that's basically what happened. We're talking about Genshin Impact, especially the most recent quest. The story was there. The presentation was just straight garbage. Just straight garbage. A bunch of yapping, and they off-screened Dainsliff not once, but twice. They off-screened him twice. I would say arguably top 5 most important character in the entire game. And not to mention one of my favorite characters. Whenever Dainsliff used to show up when I was playing Genshin, I used to get hype as fuck. Because I'm just like, oh yeah, some shit's about to go down. But now, it's like, okay, Dainsliff showed up, and now they're off-screening him? Bro, what are we doing? They're off-screening Dainsliff? Are we joking right now? Yeah. Yeah. Like, what? Like, imagine you do an Archon quest, and the big fight comes, right? And then they off-screen the Archon fighting. Like, imagine if we went back to Natlan when it first came out, and they had, Cappuccino going against Malvika, and instead of showing the fight, they just show a shaking screen. And then after the shaking screen ends, it just shows Capitano on the floor or something like that, wherever it went. Like, imagine if that happened instead of the cutscene that we did get. Now, you know what's funny is they would somehow still defend that, but, like, it'd be crazy, like, if they did something like that. That's how basically a lot of people feel about this quest, is that the story was there. They had some really good, concepts and everything in it. But, bro, holy crap, the presentation was garbage, and there was a lot of yapping that just did not need to be there. Did not need, and we all know it's only there just so that the numbers look good, the charts look good, and say, hey, look, a lot of people are playing our game. There's a lot of people playing right now. It's just there for that reason alone. Let's be real. That quest could have been shorter. and it still would have been as impactful as it was. In fact, they probably could have done more if they took out a lot of the yap and actually started animating Dainslift in his actual important moments. But I'm yapping a little bit too much here.
To it. Now, to make it super clear that my points aren't just random complaints, let's look at my video about the 5.7 Archon quest, A Space and Time for You. Now, this particular quest is actually a perfect example of what I'm talking about, because here's the thing, it had some genuinely fantastic elements. The story concept itself is really ambitious. We're talking about time loops, the Abyss Order trying to literally rewrite history, even bringing back the dead nation of Conria using the Loom of Fate. These are bold, mind-bending ideas. It dove into complex themes, whether you can truly change the past, and what really defines a nation. Is it just the land or the shared memories? You know, deep stuff. And as always, the music was exceptional. It always carries so much of the emotional weight. Even the core idea with the traveler sibling involved in this whole time loop out of guilt and duty. It was just an intriguing setup. And I said all of that in the beginning of my video. It's not like you have to search for it. I presented it in front of you. But this is where the frustration sets in. The execution of these great ideas felt consistently flawed. It is like having a Michelin star recipe, but then burning half of the ingredients. First up is the show Don't Tell epidemic. It is still rampant.
Bruh, the show Don't Tell epidemic has been rampant in Genshin and just Hoyoverse games in general have been suffering from that. I think ZZZ is the only one that kind of still doesn't do that doesn't have that problem where they actually, do that. Whereas with, Honkai Star Rail and Genshin, it's like, bro, they'll tell you what happened. They ain't showing it. Like, once again, the whole off-screening of Dainslift taking on the whole Abyss Army and taking out their front line, or the whole fight that he had with his old master. They were talking, they made Dainslift looking like, oh, we're about to throw some hands, and then they off-screen the shit. Like, what are we doing?
You have the major events happening, like Dainsleif single-handedly collapsing the Abyss front line. A lot of people expected this fight. It's a huge moment. But do we see it? No.
Nope.
We're told about it by an NPC. Even the fight between Dainsleif and this Abyss Lector, or Halfdan was it, which should be a spectacle, is off-screened. All you get is a vibrating rock. A vibrating rock for a crucial fight. It drains the impact completely.
Imagine if that's what the Archon fights would look like. Imagine you go back to Inazuma and you had Raiden Shogun going against who was that freaking fire/ice girl who I can't remember, frick. Well, you guys know what I'm talking about. And they have that fight and they off screen it. They just show a bunch of shaky screens. Imagine that, bro. That would suck.
Talk about Genshin, but no impact, am I right? Then there are the lifeless animations and the static presentation. Characters often just stand there like cardboard cutouts while important dialogue happens. Sometimes Paimon has to narrate what the character is supposedly doing or feeling because the animation is just not there. It makes big moments feel like you're reading a visual novel, which is
not a visual novel.
Because Genshin
it's not.
Is not it's a not visual even novel, but the storytelling is
not
so
even a visual novel.
Some people defended the game saying that it's a visual novel when it's not. Genshin Impact is not a visual novel, which leads us to the dialogue bloat and the mechanical writing. It often feels like the script is just trying to hit a word count. Generic NPCs saying lines that add nothing. Characters sometimes act in ways that are just convenient for the plot, not because it makes sense for them. Finally, and this is a big one for me, there is the lack of tangible world impact. You go through these massive, universe-altering quests, like creating the Atlas of the New World or witnessing the recreation of Conria, but when the quest ends, the world just looks the exact...
Yeah, no, it's exactly the same. Like, for instance, if we're not even talking about this quest, but if you talk about the Natlan quest where they had the war with the Abyss for the second time, after it's all said and done, you go back to the town, you even talk to the NPCs, and they act like nothing happened. There's no change at all. There's literally no change at all. You compare that to previous quests, like with Fontaine, or hell, even with Sumeru, like after Nahida, took over, Ruka Devaka's title, and she was basically erased just so they could get rid of the, forbidden knowledge that was going on there. It's like, bro, you do not see any impact at all. Like, I don't know what it is after Fontaine, but they just stopped trying. I don't know why. Like the fall off after Fontaine has got to be studied, because it's like the problems that Genshin had before were still there in Fontaine, but at least the storytelling and the presentation were still there. But it seems like for some reason, For some reason, after Fontaine, they just gave up, which is crazy because they've shown that's the thing that annoys everybody the most. For people who criticize this game, is Hoyoverse has shown that if they actually put their minds to it, if they actually decide to try, they can make a really good story. They can make a good presentation, everything. But for some reason, I don't know why, they just choose the easy way out and decide to half-ass it every single time after Fontaine for some reason, and people just eat it up. Like, how? How do you see something like Fontaine's story with the presentation and everything, and then you go to Natlan, which is worse, and you try and defend that? I don't get it. If me, like, bro, if it was me, and it is technically me because I have played through Fontaine, that was the last region I did play through, I would be pissed because I'm just like, we've seen you do better. We have seen you do better, and you just choose not to.
Same. Your actions, these huge, lore-shaking events, have no visible consequences in the game you actually play. It makes the stakes feel hollow, like it didn't really matter. You have these truly great narrative ideas that consistently fall short because of these reoccurring execution problems. It is a case of squandered potential, time and time again. Now, if you're still thinking these are just my weird niche complaints, let me introduce some undisputed proof. A fellow content creator, Bran Online, did a reaction video to my piece on the 5.7 Archon quest, and his take, well, he pretty much echoed my entire video. Not all of it, but most of it. He even pinned his own comment saying, and I quote, "This video does not scream Genshin hater to me. We share similar opinions." He agreed on pretty much all the big points. The show don't tell frustration, especially with Dainsleif, right? He felt that too. The weirdness of Daredeth, the sudden affection for the Traveler, the desire for more lasting world changes after major events. He saw it all. He even connected my long boring stretches criticism to his own reasons for stepping away from another game, Honkai Star Rail. Sure, he had a couple of minor differences, like maybe being a less bothered by some specific NPCs, but the overall alignment was clear. It is almost like
when you actually watch the video and engage with the points,
a level-headed person can see the validity. Funny.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Majority of the Genshin community is not level-headed. There are maybe a subsection of people in the Genshin community who aren't CCs who are level-headed. The rest of them kind of just bots, if we're being real. The rest of them are kind of just bots. They see a person criticizing Genshin Impact, and instead of watching the video and seeing the points, or even trying to argue the points, the first thing that goes through their head is, they're either hating on the game, they never played the game, or there's some made-up insult, like whatever they could come up with. That's their three roots. That's the majority of the Genshin Impact community in a nutshell these days. Even if it's a major CC that's been supporting the game for a while, even if it is somebody like Brian who's criticizing the game, what will end up happening with that situation is, and I'm pretty sure this happened, you might correct me if I'm wrong, but if somebody like him ends up turning around and criticizing the game, somebody's been playing the game for a while and glazing it, all that stuff, it's like the community just turns on you immediately. It turns on you instantly, bro. They'll go from loving you because you were liking the game, you were glazing it, you're talking about how it was peak, to when you criticize the game even once, they'll turn on you like white on rice, bro. They will turn on you so quick. It's a hive mind in a nutshell. It's either you like the game and you don't criticize it at all, or if you criticize the game, then you're just a hater. That's the Genshin community in a nutshell, unfortunately. You're not allowed to criticize the game, or you'll get basically slaughtered on Twitter by the minority of people who are still playing the game right now.
How that works. But then you look at the other side of the coin, the kind of tribalistic backlash you get. And this is where things get wild. My video was called out on Twitter, and the comments were something else. People were saying things like, "This and that Saint Toss incel."
Hey, see, there it is. Now, what does this have to do about criticizing the game? What, like, bro, I swear these people just throw these words out, and they don't even know what they mean. I guarantee it. They don't know what these words mean at all. They just throw them out because they see other people doing it.
Kurobot incel giving opinion about story. Now I have to
There
ask,
it is.
in what world makes criticizing a game's storytelling suddenly equate to being an incel? An incel, if you
It doesn't. These dumbasses just fucking throw this shit out. They don't even know what the word means, bro. It's like any other word on the internet that's being used now to insult somebody. homophobic, transphobic, all the other phobics, incel, all of it, bruh. None of these idiots know what these words mean. They just throw them out. That's it. They don't know what any of these words mean.
You don't know, is someone who is involuntarily celibate, meaning they can't get a romantic or sexual partner despite wanting one. How does that connect to a game criticism? It doesn't. It is a weird insult thrown out there to shut down an opinion you don't like. Well, I'm sorry.
And the crazy thing is, it doesn't even shut down the opinion. It just makes you look stupid because you're calling somebody an incel because what? They're criticizing your Hoyoverse game? Like, grow up, my dude. No game on this earth is perfect, and that includes Genshin Impact. And the thing, like, I don't know if you know this, but newsflash, things will only get better if you criticize them. Because if you don't, guess what? The people who are making that product, whether it be a game or food product, anything, they have no reason to improve it. They have zero reason to improve. How do you think we get games to get better? When somebody puts a game out, we're talking gaming in specific, into the market, and it doesn't do well, that means the game has a problem. That means your product has a problem, which means what? You need criticism so that you can improve that product so people will play your game. Now, when you got idiots like this online who say that criticism is not allowed, guess what? That product doesn't have to change. And in Hoyoverse's case, who's a $1 billion company, they don't got to change. That means that they could just put out the same garbage stuff over and over and over again. And guess what? That community will eat it up. They don't have to change. Imagine if we did that with, for instance, Withering Waves. Imagine if we went ahead and never criticized WUWA, never went ahead and told them the problems that it had. Imagine what the game would look like right now. Imagine what Withering Waves would look like right now if we went the way that the Genshin fandom has gone so far and just said that, oh, you're not allowed to criticize WUWA at all. You're just not allowed to criticize it. Even though there's some stuff that needs to be fixed. Imagine that. Imagine what Withering Waves would look like right now. Trust me, it wouldn't look as good as it does now. Trust me right now. We wouldn't be saying that Withering Waves is better than Genshin Impact right now if we follow the same pattern that these Genshin stands do on Twitter and basically say, oh, you're not allowed to criticize it because I like it. It's such a stupid freaking mindset, and I don't know how they operate this way. But then again, once again, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these people on Twitter are children. I really wouldn't be surprised. Because this is the exact same crap that was happening 4 years ago, back when people were starting to see the problems with the game and started calling them out. And then if you called them out, guess what? You got dunked on. And it was a lot worse than it is now. Now it's a little bit more tame because people are actually seeing that Genshin's not as great as it used to be and that it has a lot of stuff to fix, but they won't fix it and they're quitting the game and moving on to something else. People are seeing the flaws and moving on, which is why now these days you can actually kind of criticize Genshin without getting dunked on entirely. Because guess what? People finally figured out after playing a different game that, oh, yeah, WUWA's got some, or WUWA's got some good stuff that Genshin probably might want to fix in their game. Or this game's got some stuff that, Genshin doesn't do in this game. Like, there's other games out there. And once you play those other games, you start to see that Genshin isn't exactly the greatest game out there. And that has a lot to improve.
Didn't like the story as much as you do, and then you get the more common complaints. The constant complaining is genuinely ruining Natlan, as if my video about the Archon quest has some magical power to destroy an entire regional update. Like, brother, how are you gonna hold me accountable for ruining Natlan, but not the developers that make the region? It doesn't make sense, gang. How is it my fault? They made the story, they made the storytelling. How's it me? Can we have the same
I gotta give
energy
Dawei
for
his
these
millionth
devs?
yacht.
Or something like
That's
Flip
why.
was right about this guy. He only wants to play Genshin to shit on it and never want to interact with CCs who just play Genshin to shit on it and farm views. And this is where people just completely miss the concept. They don't understand that the biggest, hardest hitting criticisms often come from someone who actually plays the game. How can you criticize something effectively if you haven't experienced it?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. These people don't think about that. These people, once again, they don't think logically. They don't think logically. And I don't know how many times we're going to say they do not think logically. I don't know how many CCs we've had so far throughout Genshin's lifespan who have criticized the game, wanted it to be better, told them how they can make the game better, and all they got in return is these people on Twitter, these exact people on Twitter, trying to shit on them, trying to, do all sorts of bullshit because they're trying to make the game better. They're trying to give feedback that would make the game better. And these idiots on Twitter just don't understand that. Because I love Hoyoverse, I'm a Genshin shill. I want to pay $1,000,000 every patch for a character that's going to get power crept 2 seconds later. That's the way their brains operate. We want to give Dawei his 1,000,000th yacht.
You can't! And if you're choosing to believe that I'm just shitting on it, that is your choice to live in a fake reality. My takes aren't from an alternate dimension. They're from the exact same reality you are refusing to acknowledge. The story is great, but the storytelling, it's bad. It is a simple distinction. Like, it's really easy, dude, but it's the one many choose to ignore. But what does this all tell us? It points to a clear disconnect. On one side, you have people who accuse me of not playing the game or simply hating it for views. But then you watch my detailed video and it is clear there is deep engagement. It is not about what the criticism is. It is about who is delivering it. And they just don't want to hear these points from me. A reality that some choose to ignore. And frankly, it is a reality a multi-billion-dollar company like Hoyoverse might be choosing to ignore as well. Why? Because they can keep getting massive revenue without—
Yeah, like, look at this. Look at this. Look at this chart. Now, obviously, these charts sometimes, from what I've heard, cannot be relied on because the people in charge of the charts basically have an agenda to basically make Wuthering Waves look worse than everything else. But if you just look at it and take it at base value, look how much money that Hoyoverse can get out of people for putting out the same stuff over and over. They don't have to try. You know why they don't have to try? It's because they got these idiots on Twitter defending their bad practices. They don't need to try. They don't need to change anything. Like, if I was Hoyoverse, I wouldn't change anything. Why would I need to change anything? I got a bunch of people on Twitter glazing my stuff even though I'm not trying. It's honestly, it's an infinite money glitch. I got 3 different games. Maybe 2 of them I'm not trying in, and 1 of them I'm kind of trying in right now. And all of them are making me well over $1,000,000. $1,000,000,000 a year. Why would I need to try? Why would I need to change anything? It's that simple.
Having to significantly improve their game storytelling. They don't have to change anything to compete with more recent games because they're still making bank. It is a comfortable position for them, but it means players who want more are left wanting. I'm trying to wake people up to this, but many are choosing to live in this kind of manufactured delusion. I don't get it. What are you gaining from this? Thankfully,
Nothing.
not everyone got dropped on their head as a baby. They're
not gaining anything from it. They just get to defend their favorite waifu in their favorite game. And give Dawei his 1,000,000th yacht. Okay, I'll stop now.
always people who actually bring reasonable arguments to the table, and it's important to highlight them as well. I saw comments like, to be honest, he is right about some issues. For example, the amount of dialogue and the fact despite the amazing quest, nothing has changed in the world. That is someone who watched my video, understood the point, and agreed with a specific criticism. Another person said, to be fair, he praised the quest for what it was trying to convey, and the plot's overarching theme. This commenter actually listened.
See, and here's the thing. These people wouldn't be so mad at Glaive Keel or others who praise the game when it... Well, no, not praise the game. These people wouldn't be mad at Glaive Keel and others if Glaive Keel basically just glazed the game and said there was no issues. The problem these people have is that, Glaive Keel praised the game in some portions, but then completely just glazed it. He actually mentioned the issues that the game has or that the storytelling has and mentioned the problems that need to be fixed. That's the problem, because if Glaive Keel and everybody else just glazed the game and said, oh, greatest story on the planet, 10 out of 10, no problems whatsoever, these people wouldn't be silent. These people would be cheering them on. But because they're criticizing what needs to be fixed, then all of a sudden it's a problem. And a lot of them, once again, don't even watch the video. They just see the title saying, oh, this needs to be fixed, and automatically assume, boom, they're hating on the game. A lot of these people don't watch the videos.
And understood that my video wasn't just a hate fest, that I highlighted the positives too. And then there's this one. Why not give it a watch to see others' perspective on the Natlan quest? He played through it. Shouldn't that be enough to criticize a game? Oh,
no. According to these people, if you're not glazing the game, you can't criticize it. As a matter of fact, you can't criticize it at all. Genshin Impact is perfect. It is the perfect game. It can never be criticized. That is the mindset that these people operate in.
saying that he did it to shit on the game. It's like a hive mind. It's amazing.
It is
This
a hive
commenter
mind.
perfectly nails the illogical hive mind mentality
It
that
is a hive
dismisses
mind.
any criticism purely because it exists. And finally, for all the hating that Glaive has on Hoyo, this was actually a good video because he praised the overall plot and the development of the main story. He rightfully critiques the obnoxious tell don't show. The Abyss gets whacked by Dane off screen. This person gets it. They saw the nuance, the praise, and still agreed with the core criticisms like the tell don't show issue that even Bran Online agreed with. These are the kind of level-headed responses you get when people actually watch the video and engage with the substance. It is not about being a hater. It is about having a different opinion and wanting the game to improve. I just don't understand how having a different opinion can spark so much unwarranted hate. So to wrap this up, what it all comes down to is this. Having a differing opinion or offering criticism, even when it's sharp and direct, is simply not hate, especially when it comes from a place of genuine engagement and a clear desire to see something you care about get better. You don't spend hours analyzing something you despise, you just stop playing it. The pushback, the insults, the accusations of hating or lying, it really just highlights a much broader problem. It is a kind of tribalism in gaming communities where if you're not blindly praising something, you are automatically the enemy. This mindset, frankly, just stifles any kind of real constructive conversation. It prevents games and even communities from growing. Ultimately, discussions like these aren't about tearing down a game. They're about its potential. They're about asking, can this be better? Can we expect more from something we invest so much time into? Do you think gaming communities are becoming more or less open to genuine criticism?
It depends. It really depends, because I feel like the gaming community in general, if we're talking outside the Genshin community, or just outside the gacha community in general, gaming communities are really open to criticism. Like, really open. It's the reason why you have a lot of games now that are getting, criticized or even dunked on for being bad. Once again, some examples. Star Wars Outlaws, Dustborn, Concord, all of these games, Dragon Age the Veilguard. Hell, freaking Star Wars, Assassin's Creed Black Shadow. All these games got criticism, and even some of them got absolutely dunked on for how bad they are, and that's how it should be. That's how it should be. If the game is bad, it deserves to get criticized, especially if you played through it. Especially if you've played through it. You definitely have the right to criticize it. But even if you don't play through it and you just see that it's bad, once again, when you throw something into the free market, it's up to the market to decide whether it's good or bad, not you. You might like it because you made it, but at the end of the day, you can't really go off of that because it's just you. And of course, you're going to be biased towards something you made. You made it. You got to get opinions from everybody else if you want to improve. That's just how the world works. That's just how the world works, but unfortunately, in the gacha space, that's just not how the world works to them. Depending on what game it is, though. Depending on what game it is, but I feel like when it comes to gaming communities, outside the gacha space, which is why, I tell people just not to only play gacha games and play other games outside that. Outside the gacha space, yes, there's a lot of criticism that is allowed, and even to this day, people are still allowed to criticize games without seeing too much nonsense. Not seeing too much nonsense, but in the gacha space, it's unfortunate, but right now, we still are in that time and point where if you try to criticize, especially Hoyoverse games in general, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that, but it is what it is at the end of the day.
Like this. I mean, let me know in the comments down below, right? But that is all from me, Glaive Kyo, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.
Yeah, not bad. Once again, dude speaking facts. And once again, we live in a day and age now where you can't criticize anything. When it comes to gacha games specifically. Outside of gacha games, it's not too bad, but when it comes to gacha games, especially Hoyoverse games, if you're not praising the game to the moon blindly, if you're not accepting any of the slop they're giving you with just open arms, regardless if it's good or bad, you're the enemy, as he would say. You are basically the enemy. It's the same crap that people have to deal with when it comes to just politics and whatnot. It's like you can't have a criticism or you can't have an even footing or like a middle opinion. It's either you're with me or against me. And that's a whole nother conversation on its own that I'm not going to get into. But either way, let me know your thoughts and comments down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.